Good morning, everyone. I am Sir Mark Patricio B. Ambagay, and I am going to discuss about linear and nonlinear text. Before we start, let's learn about the learning objectives. So at the end of the lesson, the learners must be able to first identify and discuss the difference between linear and nonlinear text. Second, reflect the importance of linear and nonlinear text. And the third one, they have to transform nonlinear to linear text and vice versa. So we have here an activity. So this activity will serve as the motivation for the learners. So we have here a chart, a pie chart, which is entitled the number of enrolled learners from different modalities of learning in the district of Barotac Viejo during the pandemic. Okay, so here is the direction. So directions. This pie chart shows the percentage of enrolled learners from different modalities of learning in the district of Barotac Viejo during the pandemic. So they had to analyze the chart in order to answer the following questions. Okay, so here is the first question. So which part of the pie has the biggest number of enrolled learners from different modalities of learning in the district of Barotac Viejo during the pandemic? So the second, how many percent of learners choose online learning? The third one, which part of the chart has the smallest number of enrolled learners from different modalities of learning in the district of Barotac Viejo during the pandemic? So as you can see, so under the question, there is a chart in which learners have to identify the answers. They have to analyze and make their own conclusions about what is presented in the chart. So, another question is, can you make a short statement about the topic based on the details and data presented? So the learners will be able to make a short statement. Here, we have to make a linear text out of the nonlinear text. So, later we will going to discuss about linear and nonlinear text. Okay, so now we're going to discuss about linear and nonlinear text. So the learners should be familiarized with these meaning or definition of the linear text. So the definition is it focuses on the arrangement of words both grammatically and syntactically. So nonlinear text. So most people consider text with visuals or graphs, along it is an example for nonlinear text. So we have different kinds of the nonlinear text. The learners must be able to identify the different kinds of nonlinear text. So first we have the chart or the graphs. Okay, the next one, so line graph. So they have to identify and familiarize what is a line graph. Next. Okay, so we have here an example of a line graph for them to easily identify what is a line graph. So next, so we have the bar graph. So a kind of graph that characterizes categorical data with rectangular bars or equal width. Next, so we have here example of the bar graph. Okay, so we have also pie chart. So that's the meaning. Okay, so we have here the example of a pie chart. Flow chart. Example of a flow chart. So after those examples and kinds of nonlinear text, it is now time for them to answer this. What is a linear text? So the learners will have to brainstorm and identify the meaning of a linear text based on the things that we have discussed earlier. So the next question is, what is the difference between linear and nonlinear text? So they have to make analysis and they have to make comparisons of the linear and nonlinear text based also to the things that we have learned. So another one, can you give me examples of nonlinear text? So the learners will be able to give their examples or the kinds of nonlinear text that we have discussed earlier. So the next question, what do you think is the importance of using linear and nonlinear text? Here they have to give importance and appreciation of the value of the linear and nonlinear text in our society. Here is the group activity or the application part of the lesson plan that I have prepared. Okay, so they have to group themselves into two groups according to their interest. So we have two groups, the writers group and the artist group. So we have here the time frame. It is only limited for 15 minutes. Okay, the writers group. So the writers group will write a passage based on the data presented in the graph. Okay, we have here the writers group. They have to make their own statement or sentence based on the graph presented. Okay, next please. Okay, so this is for the artist group. So here's the passage, and they have to make their own graph or chart based on this passage. They have to make a non-linear text out of this linear text. In the writers group, this should be the possible output of their work. And in the artist group, it is the possible answer. Okay, in the assessment part, so they have to read the direction. So identify what is being asked from each statement below. Write your answers from the blank provided. So they have to answer these based on the things that we have learned about linear and nonlinear text. Okay, so the second part of the test is transcoding linear to nonlinear text. So we have here some directions. So direction is interpret and analyze the procedure about making ibus, which is one of the most popular delicacies of Iloilo. Then make a flowchart based on the passage presented. So this is linear text. So they have to make their own flowchart. So these are the answers or the possible answers out of the assessment that we have. So in the test one, we have here the linear text, the graph or chart, the line graph, bar graph, and bar chart. So these are the answers to test 1. And the test 2, the possible answer is this. So this is an example of a flow chart. So first is they have to cook the sticky rice in the rice cooker, the coconut milk, and add some salt. And then they have to put the mixture in the coconut leaves. They have to put the ibus in a large casserole and add some water. And the last, boil it until it is fully cooked. Then we have the ibus. For the assignment, so here is the direction. So they have to make a passage from the data presented in the graph. So this is an example of a line graph. So they have to make their own passage based on this line graph. And it is about the dropout rate from the school year 2020 to 2021 in the pandemic. For understanding of the lesson plan that I have prepared, so I have here the annotations. So in the lesson plan, we have the contextualization. So the lesson plan enables the learners to take examples based on their own understanding, experiences, and learning capabilities. So on the activity part, the learners were given a pie chart in which they can relate much, for it is within the scope of their own town and their personal experiences in life. Also, I included the indigenization. So the lesson plan enables learners to utilize available resources within the vicinity of the town of Barotac Viejo, Iloilo. So in the lesson plan, in the assessment part, the teacher made use of the ibus as an example. So the learners are able to task and transcode the procedure of making ibus in the flowchart. Also, we have the localization. So the lesson plan shows localization by using Barotac Viejo, Iloilo as an example, so that the learners will be able to be familiar of the place itself and the current events happening to that place. In the activity part, the learners will try to interpret the chart which is based on the current situation in the district of Barotac Viejo. For the better understanding of the lesson, please see the attached annotation at the end of the lesson plan.